The views expressed on this Turnbuckle Tabloid live stream or Turnbuckle Tabloid podcast episode do not reflect the views, thoughts, or opinions of the Rageworks brand, including the Rageworks podcast network, Rageworks content partners, advertisers, and affiliates. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
Hey, you're listening to Turnbuckle Tabloid with the SAT. Joel Ho, stay Maximo, baby.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff.
What's going on, everybody? Tony G here, better known to the world as Josie's Boy, aka your girl's favorite artist. And today I'm here to tell you about my company, Painted in Blue. Painted in Blue is a creative house established in 2017, and we specialize in handmade custom leather goods. We coined the term luxury minimalism because we believe even in your everyday life, no matter how much running around you have to do, you can still stand out and be fly. We create everything from luxury handbags to wallets and some of the best leathers you can find that you would love to carry on a day-to-day basis. So if you believe in looking fly while you handle your business while pushing fashion forward, make sure you guys go to paintedinblue.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media at _Painted in Blue on Instagram and on Facebook at Painted in Blue.
This is Velvet 478, and you're listening to Turnbuckle Tabloid.
Give me that fucking mic! Turnbuckle Tabloid, cutting a promo.
In a roundabout way, there is a certain method to my madness when I do this podcast. Yes, it sounds like in many instances I'm shooting off the cuff. I'm in a moment, just going through the motions in my mind, putting together pieces of information and opinions and mash them together to come bring you this organically sounding wrestling podcast week to week. But there is some structure to the podcast. I may have mentioned before that I do take notes. I have a checklist per se on my phone where I jot down notes for wrestling rundown and ideas for what's going to be a cutting a promo and such. Make notes about shows that I've watched and news stories that are coming up and ideas for possible skits and bits. So there is a certain, organization that comes to the podcast. So for a couple of weeks now, I've had on my notes for cutting a promo to have a discussion on the topic of LA Knight. LA Knight has now been on, the radar of many of the wrestling universe and growing more and more each day with popularity. I've been a fan of the guy for a while. Liked him since NXT was put onto him by the guys early on when he was in Impact, known as Eli Drake, W, and wasn't really happy with the whole Max Dupree change that was happening, but was really pleased when they brought him back as the LA Knight gimmick. So I wanted to have a discussion about him because I've been very impressed by the guy, and he was very outspoken during his time in Impact. He was one of the guys that said that he wasn't going to do any intergender matches. He wasn't feeling those. won their championship, but it seemed as though when he did win it, it was at a low point of the show at the time, and he didn't really make a big scene with the title. But since coming over to WWE, when he landed in NXT, he had a nice support there in that developmental state. He made the best of it, and his personality was working with many of us who enjoy the dude's work, not only on the mic but also his in-ring work as well. Now, even early on, it was said that he drew comparisons to many wrestlers in the past, and it's the nature of the beast when it comes to wrestlers of this day. You know, many have said that they draw from a classic wrestler here, a legend there, a figure of notoriety here, and you just put them in a blender, and poof, this is how you come up with your gimmick. And it's been said that, you know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You know, but, you know, the whole thing is when it comes to wrestling, you got to give things a shot. And I think this happens a lot to many wrestlers. And many points in time, you get lightning in a bottle where if you're able to put together such gems as that, you can, you know, become a superstar. So this past week, there has been a rumbling going on in the wrestling universe world and social media outlets pertaining to LA Knight and a certain particular legend in the business. The legend that I speak of is Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash, on his Click This podcast, had made mention of LA Knight and his gimmick. I listen to the podcast. You guys know I endorse it. I love listening to the podcast. Kevin and Sean Oliver do a hell of a job there. It's a podcast that is not only about wrestling. They also talk social climate, political stuff, sports. It's all over the place, and I love having that kind of conversation. I used to do it here sometimes. I kind of miss doing that as well, but you know, from time to time, I tend to veer left and right on this podcast here. But not to say that, you know, they stole it from me. But that's the kind of podcast that I like, because it's fresh. It could go anywhere with it and not only have to be about wrestling. So this time around, I believe it was the episode before, they were discussing the possibilities of who would win the Money in the Bank. And Kevin had promoted that he thought it would be good that Logan Paul won it, because, you know, he'd be able to showcase it, bring more eyes to the product if he went around showing it off on social media and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And he also thought that Damian Priest would be a good look for the title, because he's a big presence, the way he carries himself and the way he works. Then he heard rumblings that people were in discussion of LA Knight, and he wasn't aware of who LA Knight was. So he was one that picked him up on his radar really late in the whole process, and got him like heard of him maybe like a week or two before Money in the Bank. And when he heard him, he believed that he drew similarities to The Rock and Stone Cold. He said so much so that if The Rock and Stone Cold had a kid, it would be LA Knight. And this caused a bit of a stir in the not only the wrestling universe, but especially in the LA Knight fandom. Many have said and gone on, you know, Twitter or on Instagram and such to disagree with Nash's thoughts, and he even doubled down on it where he mentioned, and I'm paraphrasing, when he said that he didn't see anything special about the kid, that he thought he was a copy and paste version of The Rock. He says it's The Rock as a white guy. And some have drawn ire to his thoughts, and once again, they'll go into the whole thought process of, oh, he's out of touch. It's once again these old guys on this get off my lawn kind of thought about wrestling, and pretty much the Cornette, Dutch Mantel kind of thought process that many believe that these older wrestlers go through. Now, like I said, I've listened to the podcast and I heard his take on it, and many individuals have not listened to it. So I'll give you guys a pretty much summary of my thoughts on his take on LA Knight. So, firstly, Nash doesn't really watch the full WWE product. He watches Raw. So he doesn't have a full idea of LA Knight's presence, because he doesn't know that LA Knight is mainly on SmackDown. Again, he's only seen him or heard of him during, around the Money in the Bank season. He hasn't watched any of his matches. They haven't seen anything that he's pretty much done with the Bray Wyatt stuff, thankfully. And his awareness of where and why the growing fandom has come from. He's unaware that he worked in Impact. He just believes that the kid has some kind of following that's going on, that's growing in momentum. So much so that he said recently that he was watching Raw. He was watching Raw for 3 hours, and if this kid was so popular, then why would he not be on Raw? Hence why I said he doesn't know that he's on SmackDown. And which I kind of agree, because after Money in the Bank, the SmackDown afterwards, you didn't showcase LA Knight, but you did showcase him in a dark match at Madison Square Garden. And from what I heard, his pop was fucking explosive. He's getting that Dolph Ziggler, Sami Zayn kind of growth in fandom. Nash isn't aware of the current climate because, like he says, he doesn't watch the full product. He says he'll catch a Dynamite. If he'll watch a Collision, can catch it if he can. But he's not really on tune with it and on point with it when it comes to the wrestling of today. Also, you also got to come in the mindset and the thought process of Nash, where he was once a booker, and his whole mindset of the business was pretty much storytelling that made money. It wasn't really loose. It wasn't really based on growing a talent. If you look at his time at WCW, whenever he did do the book, there wasn't really much of growth of, let's say, new talent and such. I'm trying to think during that time. I think maybe the closest you could probably say to that is Goldberg, that he may have put the pencil to in his development. But I think that was more Bischoff, if anything. But a lot of the stuff he knew where to book the NWO and where the dollars were going to come in. And that's fine. That's a great mindset when it comes to wrestling, because like Dusty said, it's all about the green, baby. The only thing that matters is the miles and the green, baby. So it makes perfect sense for him to have this thought process. Then came the accusations of stealing, not stealing gimmicks, but him ripping off LA Knight, ripping off The Rock and Stone Cold and such. in that sense. And people on social media called him out for it because some were saying like, well, look at your best friend. He used to be a playoff of Tony Montana, or your Wolfpack member was a playoff the Crow. Okay, that's actually a dumb argument to present to him because he's a smart man and he's not gonna fucking play off of that stupid fucking kind of comparison, because you're taking a character that's not in wrestling and taking him from the TV shows or the movie screen, and you're making him into a wrestler. That's pretty smart. That was a smart move. It's not the same. It's not in the same realm. It's not pulling from one former wrestler's gimmick and bringing it to another. It's two different spectrums. It's not the same. But someone did ask a question or wrote an article about his thoughts and mentioned that same similarity as well as other gimmicks. On his show, he never touched on the other gimmicks, but he spoke on the Crow and the Tony Montana references. The other gimmicks that were mentioned, in which when I heard his comics, I thought the same thing. And it's two in particular that I instantly drew comparisons to. But nonetheless, before I get to those two, I'll go into gimmick revivals or gimmick remastering or gimmick stealing or copying, whatever you may say, continues to be done and has been done for years. Could draw comparisons from back in the days to this day and age. The Blade Runners, if you guys ever heard of who that was Sting and Warrior were a blatant ripoff of the War Warriors. And we saw numerous promotions who ripped off the Road Warriors, Warlord and Barbarian. Some may have even considered Demolition. It's oftentimes been mimicked. Chris Masters, in his run in WWE, could be considered the Lex Luger of that time. Remember when he was the narcissist in WWF at that time? We've seen comparisons to that. Even luchadors, as simple as that may be, but many have said that Kalisto or Sin Cara were draws of Rey Mysterio, Mi Mascaras, Jushin Thunder Liger, or whoever. Like, but that's an easy softball one. All luchadors, you could say, are pretty much copying or mimicking each other. Bray Wyatt ripped off not ripped off, but he had a similar gimmick to a wrestler from back in the days known as Waylon Mercy. That's that Bayou kind of Southerner. It's done. It's done often. One in particular that stands out for me, well, the two in particular that stands out for me, that stood out for me the most, were two of the most iconic individuals in wrestling history. Number one was Nature Boy Ric Flair. Ric Flair admitted to easily ripping off of Nature Boy Buddy Rogers. Same kind of gimmick, same kind of style of wrestler. Hell, it could even coincide that Nick Bockwinkel did the same. Nick Bockwinkel also was that flashy, debonair, well-dressed, money exposing kind of guy. And Rick never made no bones that, hell, he was Nature Boy Ric Flair after Nature Boy Buddy Rogers. Another name in particular is Hulk Hogan. The Hulkster, Hulkamania himself, is a blatant ripoff of Superstar Billy Graham. He's even said it himself that he took his whole gimmick of trying to talk like him, the body poses and stuff. Hell, you could even add Jesse the Body Ventura to that mix as well when Hogan was breaking into the business, that he pretty much stole his look and his gimmick and such, with the hats and the bandanas and shit like that. This is a common occurrence that happens in the business all the time. And even wrestlers in the indies have drawn inspiration from other wrestlers and such. You look at Darius Carter in the indies. Love him. He's a great heel. He's a fine wrestler. And every time I see him in the indie shows, I think he's a great work. But you see the scarf, you see the look, the attitude. Some may say he draws inspiration from an Alberto Del Rio. Alberto Del Rio has been known to draw from even a JBL or such. I've even made mention early on that I said he has that kind of a rock kind of appeal and talk. Ricky Starks is getting the same kind of feel when he talks, the way that he talks. It's the cadence. It's the attitude. It's, even as far as the look. And that's the other thing too. No one is really throwing shade at Ricky Starks for his portrayal as well, because he's drawn those similarities. And to be honest, that's not a bad thing to be labeled as. And it's not saying he's a ripoff or he's stealing. I always said that that if you're able to draw some kind of comparison to someone, but you're not doing a blatant copy imitation of the individual, but if you're able to draw some kind of trait or personality, something, and then mix it with your own and make it into something, then it's fine if the crowd loves it, if the crowd takes it in. This is a business that's seen thousands upon thousands of gimmicks fly through the wrestling landscape for the hundreds of years that's been around. And and gimmicks has probably been something that's been more of a common practice or beginning practice in the late 40s, early 50s. Gorgeous George was really like that guy who brought that feeling of pageantry and character when he would come into the ring. Some even professional athletes, legit quote-unquote professional athletes, such as Muhammad Ali, has said that he's drawn from that Gorgeous George kind of personality and had made him because he was a wrestling fan, a big it was a big influence on him when he started doing his trash talking and such. If you can, in many cases, the terminology is if you could take chicken shit and turn it into chicken salad, by all means, go for it. It's how the fans take you, and you're always gonna get those, naysayers who says, "Oh, this guy's a fucking ripoff of this person," or this is bullshit. And then you get those who love it because they either are the fans of that person or look back into the nostalgia, see that person of back then in time, and see it flow and resonate through the individual of now. It's whatever works, man. To me, as long as it's not a like I mentioned earlier, a blatant ripoff of a gimmick and such, I'm all for it. I'm okay with it, and it's a practice that's going to be continuing from here on out. So, as for Nash's comments, like I said, I don't really take too much into it because, like I said, he's not a person who's having his finger on the pulse of the product on a day-to-day basis. He's not on the fandom like we are. Someone made a comment about whether or not would Triple H take offense to Nash making those comments. I thought it was a stupid fucking question to ask, but why would he? Nash is an audience of one when Triple H is looking to the masses of the million, an audience of millions. And right now, that's who he's going to cater to. I think this day and age, it's like, you know, when you hear the Cornettes, the Dutch Mantels, the Arn Andersons, the Nashes, and whomever who have their podcasts, who have their YouTube channels, and they're having these conversations, it's those of, and yes, I could be, you know, blamed of it as well because I miss the old days of wrestling at times. That, you know, sometimes it's that, you know, back in my day kind of thought process, which is fine. You know, and like I mentioned, these guys aren't really paying attention to the product like they used to. You know, although Cornette, you know, watches the show because he does reviews on them, and he still doesn't have that same feel for the business anymore because he doesn't know anything about like the New Japans or people coming up from the Indies. He's not well versed as we are, and it's fine because that's you know, everybody has, it's part of a different category of the audience in which we are as wrestlers. So hey, like I still say to this day, I'm not a big deathmatch guy. I don't really watch it, so I wouldn't know that world. And when someone would tell me about it, I'd be like, oh, okay, it's all right, okay, fine. I guess that's where he comes from. But, you know, to each his own, right? But on this topic of LA Knight, I see nothing but a nice upswing for him. He had a big reception at Money in the Bank. I don't think they dropped the ball with not giving him the Money in the Bank. I said it already. If we like him, they're not going to give it to him. But there's a good chance that something good could happen. We could see something possibly occurring for him in the near future. So we shall see. And, you know, and as always, the fan base is always fickle and they could change in a heartbeat. So when we come back, we have much to discuss. Homework Mike takes the time to sit down and do his own interview this week. I allowed the young man to take the lead and have a conversation and an interview, which many of you guys who follow the Grimm Toy Show shows, I guess, and for that following, you would enjoy this upcoming conversation. So don't go anywhere. And also, even if you didn't, it's actually a fun conversation to listen to. So don't go anywhere. Stick around. We have much to talk about. Check you guys in a second.
Hey, yo, what's good, everybody? This is Ortiz from the Land American Exchange, and you're listening to Turnbuckle Tabloid. Yow!
What up, guys? Here at Turnbuckle Tabloid, Homework Mike here. You're in for something very special because I'm going to be running a solo interview with Jay in the background, voicing the sound. But basically, it's just going to be me and my guest today. A guy, oh, wow, that was very loud. A guy I wanted to talk to since the days of GWAP, or GAWP. His name is Pete Corvus. Welcome, Pete.
Hey, man.
How you doing, man?
I'm tired.
Tired?
It's Friday, man. I'm exhausted.
I mean, with your schedule, you say you're always busy, so I guess that's fair enough.
I'm busy to, like, the extent of just, like, I don't want to do anything, but I also work Monday to Friday, and then I, like, try to wrestle as much as I can. So I'm busy, but I'm, like,
yeah. Over the years, your schedule has changed over a lot.
Oh, yeah. I used to work. I like now that it's like summertime. My job is like, oh, you can have weekends off. I'm like, oh, that's great. But now I'm wrestling on the weekends. But like during the winter and like the spring, work is like, oh, well, you have work on the weekends. I'm like, oh, I also have wrestling. So
yeah, and we'll get into that because a lot of that used to be your problem back in the day.
That's still,
from what I remember,
that's still a problem.
It's all on YouTube documented.
Yeah,
it's social media. Yeah. So let's get into that. So you got started on YouTube basically on a little show called Grimm's Toy Show.
Yeah.
How did that happen? It was like 2015, 16?
Oh man. Maybe 2014.
Okay.
No, 2015 because I was still sort of in college, but then I was just skipping school to go to GTS.
Okay.
Because I just didn't care about school, which is ironic.
It was you, Tommy, and DGDX. Right?
Yeah, so when I first got on, it was DGDX was doing shows with Grimm, and he was like, oh, do you want to come down? I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And I thought it was just going to be like a one-time thing. We were there, and like he's like, oh, there'll be a wrestling ring there. I was like, oh, that's great. Like, I'd always loved to wrestle in the backyard, but I live in the city, so it's really hard to do that. Yeah. We get there, and there's no wrestling ring.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So
the early videos.
We were there. We were literally there before GTS Wrestling was GTS Wrestling. It was still Grimm's Toy Show.
Right. And for anybody that doesn't know about that, it was basically a guy named Grimm. Before he started doing the old Indy thing, he's an indie dog now. But basically, he was a toy collector, correct? Just a guy.
Yeah, he's like a massive toy collector. I mean, he's still a massive toy collector.
It was him, his wife, and his kids, basically, in his videos.
And his grandfather,
right.
And his grandfather. And
they would do bits, right?
They would do bits. Him and his brother, Doo-Hop, would do bits in like parking lots in the mall where they'd go like buy figures and they.
Oh yeah, the RKO and Walmart, right?
Yeah.
Was the one to do that.
You probably know more than I do in terms of like old GTS. I don't know anything before.
Well, not that much.
I
started getting into his stuff when you guys started getting.
Yeah. So everyone.
Because that was when I was like, wait, this guy has a ring in his backyard.
Yeah,
well, not his backyard.
It was his grandmother's backyard.
Right.
And then.
And the people you would bring in,
and then everyone,
not you yourself,
like the people that were like that are now on television or were on television and now on television again, and then we got kicked out of the yard from like I think like the neighbors did something. I forget how that one worked.
But when he got you on there, were you anything like you were just Pete Corvus, or were you like? Because I know there was always a thing like, oh, there's a PS4 thief, or that was Chris Barden.
I was a robot named Corvus.
What?
Couldn't tell you. Like the week or two before, because he'd film and have stuff.
Like, how did he do with the filming? Was it always all in one day?
Well, it depends. Like he would film stuff before we got there, and then tie us into it somehow.
Oh, like a tourist is coming over. He wants
pretty much. Like he was like, oh well, there's a robot that's like trying to take control of my YouTube channel. I don't know what's going on, and the robot's name was Corvus, and then I got there and I was like, hey, Grimm.
By the way, your name is Corvus.
No, yeah, but it was like, hey, Grimm, like, I just got beat up by some guy who stole your ring. Don't know when it's going to be here, but they stole it, and they beat me up for it. I was delivering it. And then, like, DGDX showed up, and he was like, oh, my God, you didn't recognize Corvus? And then I punched him in the face. And I was like, oh, I'm Pete Corvus. I was like, this is so stupid.
A lot of people wanted to punch DGDX in the face for real.
Yeah, I wish well, never mind.
Yeah.
I mean, he and I were close. he and I were close at one point.
Thanks for getting me on the show now.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Well, no, not really, because we were still friends, but we just had like a falling out over like stupidity. Like, teenagers do, but we just never.
A lot of growing up to do. People go distant.
Probably mostly on my end because I was such a dick. Can we curse on here?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're more than welcome to say
okay.
I'll nothing too offensive.
Yeah, I'll try my best to be.
Fuck.
Okay, we got that.
So yeah, you had no ring. So then, how did you start getting? Like, what was the training?
Oh, I had none.
Okay.
I had. Well, that's so a lie.
You, Tommy, Doo-Hop, and Grimm. Well, mostly Grimm was the only one that had training.
Grimm and Doo-Hop were the only ones who had training.
Right. You and Tommy were basically learning on the spot.
Yeah, I went to Warriors of Wrestling for like 3 weeks.
And that's whose school?
Staten Island.
Okay.
Like Joe Bellini and all them.
Okay. Because I think around that time, Kurt Hawkins opened his school up, correct?
He had it open for like 2 years at that point, I think, because he had all the students. Grimm had messaged him. He was like, "Hey, would you want to do this?" Or he like saw him at like a convention. He was like, "Oh, do you want to do this?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, why not? Whatever." He thought it was going to be a one-time thing, and then he saw how much like traction it got.
That was clout.
He was on it all the time. So it was him.
It was both ways, right? Brian got more exposure.
Pretty much, yeah. So it was Brian. I don't know if Pat ever was on the show. Pat Buck, yeah, I don't think he was on. Johnny Clash was on, Max Caster, MJF. That's like the biggest name that's on there right now. Well, yeah, I would say that's the biggest name that's ever been on GTS right now.
Grimm took advantage of when he won the world title and reposted that video of him, the cop outfit.
Bronson was on it.
Right. A lot of people we see in AEW.
A lot of people, like there's like 6 or 7 people in AEW right now.
And
even like Chris
and then one for
Statlander
WWE. Robbie E.
And
James Ellsworth, Jimmy Rave.
Ellsworth was on. Jimmy Rave was on. Oh man, Blue Meanie, Nunzio, Joey Janela's been on a couple times.
Oh yeah, Penelope Ford, Chris Statlander. So the connections basically were Grimm helped
pretty much. And I got to wrestle a couple of these people that like.
But how did you actually start though? Like what was the first bumps or like?
The first bump was a Grimm ending, which is like a.
He has you up like behind the shoulders.
A full Nelson slam.
Right.
Yeah. It was like a half Nelson, full Nelson slam.
I haven't been.
And
every time you say eat it, yeah,
and I couldn't. He's like, "Oh, jump! Like, don't forget to jump." And I'm like, "Okay," but I jumped as if like I was shooting a basketball and not like kicking my legs in the air at the same time.
Right.
So I just it looks horrible. Horrible. The first move I ever gave was an angle slam.
Why? Would you?
Couldn't tell you. It was like the easiest. He's like,
now, did he tell you to do that, or was that?
No, he
was
like,
I'm going to call an angle slam.
He was like, he's like, make sure that your finish is something that you can do to everybody, and that's like a key thing in wrestling. It's like make sure your finish is something you can do to everybody. And I was like, well, I know that if this guy jumps, I know how to do an angle slam enough that it's like, oh, I just put this arm over my shoulder and then we go. But like, that was my first official move in like a wrestling ring.
And this place is in Jersey. The first
one was in Toms River.
Okay.
Toms River. I won't tell you where, but it's in Toms River.
All right.
Yeah.
We're not needing locations.
Well, hey, it's this place. I'll be honest, I don't remember the address. I just happen to like know, like, it's just like, you get off this exit.
I wouldn't care.
A left and a right. Yeah. I don't know.
Because I remember talking to you when it was like your first year there. And it was very interesting to see you like outside at the indie shows and then see you on YouTube. Like, wait a minute. I see this guy usually like 2 or 3 times a month. Basically. Least, yeah. And then I met you in person. I'm like, holy shit. Like, what the fuck? Like, it was like being a somewhat celebrity, but it was also like,
I remember
he's just a normal guy.
I remember you and Ben, I think was at a Brie Combination show at the Elks Lodge. And Ben was like, oh my God, are you guys?
He marked that.
And I was like, Ben, please.
It was like you, Tommy, and Kevin.
And we're like, dude,
it's like, holy shit, it's at the ref.
It's not that, like, dude, it's not that serious at all, I promise you.
I was like, because you had the YouTube bell, and I was like, you have a picture of it, and you just showed me. I was like, oh, that's cool.
I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, I don't.
That was my ultimate, that was my only fandom, really.
Yeah, like, he would never let us take the belts home because he was afraid that, like, we were just going to steal them.
Meanwhile, they're all WWE, like,
they were just old WWE replicas with, like, the YouTube logo on it. And we were just like,
with a small GTS thing
like
on
he
top
would like
of it.
put the sticker on, like print it out, and like tape it on. And we're like, all right, like I don't want to steal it. I just want a photo with it. I just like cut promos with it, but we never did.
And that's like that to this day still.
No, to this day we can. Well, he's more lenient with certain people. Like if I wanted to, I could probably get away with it because I've been there for God knows how long. But like newer guys, he's just like, no, you got to keep it here.
Yeah.
So
when you got there and when the certain people started coming by, what was your immediate reaction? Because I think like you had Hawkins, you had the school students, but when like a Robbie E showed up, like what was that like? Be like, wait a minute, I see you on TV for all these years, and now you're in the backyard wrestling me, Jay, Tommy.
It's such a fan moment because like you see these guys on TV and like they're larger than life to you, but then like you meet them.
Also, they're willing to work in a backyard.
Hell yeah. You're willing to work in a backyard just for like
Views.
Just for views, because you realize what like how many people are watching, and then like you're trying to help us get better. Yeah. You're automatically a cooler person in my book.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, you wrestled and then shot Bull James.
Yeah, I wrestled Bull James
when
twice.
When people listen to this, I'm not saying like he shot on Bull James. There was an angle where he shot him with a gun.
Do you really
kill him?
Do you really think that someone like me could shoot on Bull James successfully?
No,
I don't. Absolutely not. Exactly.
No. Even the three of us can't do it.
Also, just in case there's like little kids watching, it also wasn't a real gun. It was like one of those like that
was always the thing too with Grimm. It was like what was the audience? It was all kids. But you're pulling guns out.
It was mostly kids, some grown adults, and there's a very large special needs fan base, which are like the best fans ever because they're always into it no matter the age, and they're like
they'll buy anything.
They'll buy anything, like not like merchandise wise, just like everything's going like, oh my god,
if they see you in person, like, oh, they really think you're Pete Corvus.
Hell yeah,
like this asshole on
YouTube. You're
like,
oh, you're such a pice of shit, dude. Like, why would you do that to Grimm?
You're teaming up
kids?
with a Russian and
it's like,
a Manabo.
Yeah, a Manabo.
I don't want to be racist. I don't want to accuse him of like what nationality is, but
I think a Manabo.
Just a Manabo.
I think he's Puerto Rican, to be honest, but a Manabo.
So you had Robbie E, Bull James, and then like Giant, and then like the indie guys who get some clout, like Giant Leather.
Yeah. So
basically the door. Like,
well, Giant Leather was a WrestlePro guy for a while. I think he started there.
And the phrase Forbidden Door was pretty much on GTS.
Yeah,
anybody could show up.
Yeah, there was at times we had guys from Impact Wrestling and former WWE guys like on at the exact same time.
The fucking Patriot, Blue Meanie showing up in the backyard. I was about to say your backyard, but it's not yours.
Yeah, we had Rhett Titus and Robbie E at like the same time. I was like, oh my god, Impact and ROH working together. This is crazy.
Even Jimmy Rave too in the same.
And Jimmy Rave, Jimmy Rave wasn't doing so many ROH shows at that point. He was kind of doing like, I think he was like training CZW students at that point. But like still, like that's still cool.
That was towards the end of CZW, wasn't it?
That was before COVID and
before the shit hit the fan.
Before shit hit the fan, and like before like CZW was on like that downfall. He was still training like good people, and then like DJ was just like, nah.
Did you guys ever do like the combat zone type of shows?
No.
He never invited you guys?
No. He always told me to come down and like train with him, but I just could never get down to Blackwood, New Jersey, or wherever they were training at that point. Yeah, it was like I was always working at nights, but like that's why I never finished training properly. Like I have a couple months of training under my belt, but I'm not professionally trained like I'm supposed to be, which is crazy to some people.
Yeah, it's pretty much insane. You have less training, and you're in the ring with these guys that have been on TV or still learning like you. And all of you guys are doing spots that we've seen on TV
that I should not be doing.
Oh my god, dude! Like, and then with you, death matches became a thing.
Hell yeah!
You loved hurting Jimmy Controversy. And, I mean, a lot of people like to say that nowadays.
It's the best thing ever.
And then it came with the Daltons.
Little schmuck. I hate Jimmy Controversy, and I fucking hate Dalton too. But
the first Grimmomania, you hesitated to jump off a roof,
bro. That was scary.
But
I'll shoot Bull James with a gun. But
jumping off the roof
was a delay. I got up there, and the kid before me like chickened out, and I was like, I'll do it, whatever. I get up there, I stand up, and I went, oh, and like my feet were like.
I remember you screamed like, "Fuck you, Jimmy! I hate you."
They were my feet were glued to the shed. They could not move, and I was like, well, I was gonna do like a swanton, but I was like, I can't because I don't.
Of all the moves that could have hurt you,
because I didn't know like the trajectory from like where I was to where Jimmy was, so just like a regular like splash was like the safest thing to do.
Yeah, which is smart,
but also like so dumb to jump off a roof.
And when you guys do the tapings, is it like if I would say your match is first, and then afterwards you have to stay around? What's the whole taping thing like? Well, when the whole
taping,
When the whole
Tapings
channel was growing.
Tapings were long. Like, they were like all-day affairs. On weekends, we'd get there like 10 a.m. and we wouldn't leave
Would it be
till
like we have to wait for everybody to show up and then start?
Pretty much, because you wanted that reaction of everyone that's there.
Right.
So we'd get there at like 10
In the morning.
10 in the morning on like Sundays.
Right.
We do.
I was also about to ask too. Like, is this weekends or?
It was
during the week?
it was Sundays at one point. It was Sunday, Tuesday, Thursdays, or Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, something along those lines. It was 3 days of taping, and we would go down from Brooklyn to South Jersey 3 times a week.
That was you, Ed,
It was
Ed.
me.
I was supposed to call him Ed.
It was
you, Kevin, and Tommy.
You can call him Ed. That's
Yeah.
I mean that's his GTS name.
Yeah.
It was me and Tommy more, and then when Kevin was free, he'd come down with us, which I think was the Sundays. So we.
And just to preface, you guys were friends before GTS. You guys are.
We all went to high school together.
Yeah,
Yeah. Tommy and I graduated together. Hated each other in high school.
Really?
Graduated high school and became like the best of friends.
Kinda
Kevin and I.
Kind of like the Iconics.
Fucking weird, right? How does that work? And then
Anyway, yeah.
Kevin and I met my sophomore year, his freshman year, at baseball tryouts. And then like high school, we would interact, but like again, like after high school, it was like just like the best of friends. I don't know how that worked. It's fucking ironic, but yeah. So we'd go down 3 times a week, spend about 5 or 6 hours a day there, and tape.
No breaks.
No, there'd be breaks. We
Okay,
early on when none
It'll
of
be
us
like match, and then like everybody calm down.
it'd be
and then-
like a quarter of a match because a lot of us didn't know what we were doing when we first got there. So it was like quarter of a match, break, go over the next quarter of the match, break, go over it again. And he would splice it up just right where it looked like there was
Yeah, I was
nothing.
about to say the editing always looks
That-
like
yeah,
you guys had to
as-
stop and then
as
keep
if
going.
like nothing ever happened. That's how he spliced it up.
And I always looked like that when you guys were setting up spots, like you're setting up the chairs, a table.
Yeah. Sometimes
something.
it would just take way too long. It was just easy to cut it and then be like, oh my God, how did he get to here? And then as we got more into it and like we would understand how to do it more, it was kind of just like, all right, you guys are going to work your whole match. And it was like 2-3 minutes. That's it. Boom. There's your thing. Which like 2-3 minutes is like TV time. But like everyone has a short attention span. No one wants to watch a long ass match.
Yeah. I'm about to say that Grimm's not calling like match times. Like,
Absolutely.
you have this amount of time to go.
Yeah, no, not at all. It was like,
Let's,
he did.
Let's do this and see what happens.
Yeah, he's like, all right, here's 2 to 3 minutes. Pete's over, and whatever. This is how it's gonna go.
Was it always a fight too? Whenever he would say someone's over, people like, what the fuck?
Nah.
Okay.
I could. Well, it depends on who it was. If
To
it was
a certain extent?
to a certain extent, yes, for me. But like at the same time, I was just having fun, and then I got cocky, and I was like, haha, I should totally go over for this. And I was
when
like,
you
this
say
is
cocky,
it was like,
is that when you go on Twitter and you start trolling people?
hell yeah. And I was like, wait.
How many Twitters did you have at that point? 12?
When I first got on Twitter, I had a Twitter before, and then I made like
normal
a
one,
professional one.
Right.
Well, professional. I have air quotes going up for those that you can't see.
Right. Let's just say this current Twitter that you'll plug at the end of the interview was not your starting.
No,
Twitter.
it is now. I got that back.
Oh, cool.
I don't know how I put in like Elon took over Twitter, and I put in for like to
Elon.
take it over. Hold on.
Always thank you.
Elon,
Thank you for this.
Elon's cool with me because he helped me get my Twitter back. I had 11.7 thousand followers when I lost my Twitter.
Yeah, I'm about to say, like when you go on Twitter and then like you're on YouTube and then you go check your Twitter and you say, "Holy shit!" Like, I just gained like 5,000 followers in a day.
I got to like 1,000 in like the first 3 months, and I thought I had made it in wrestling. I was like, "This is great! I have 1,000 followers." There are people on TV that have like 500. This is awesome. And then all of a sudden, like
that's when your head started getting big.
No, it's when I got probably about 5,000. Okay. Listen, I'm to an extent, depending on
the mood,
or the situation, I can be quite arrogant. Not always. I've gotten better.
I love the side eye you're giving me.
Yeah, I've gotten.
We'll get into a lot of this stuff.
I've gotten much better. I've apologized to a lot of people for things. But yeah, so I had 11.7 thousand followers woke up one day and I was permanently suspended from Twitter.
Now, is that because a fan reported you?
Probably. No one. It doesn't tell you.
Did the little boy, little girl get upset that Pete Corvus?
They probably
said
did
something mean.
I had zero filter on Twitter, and I didn't realize that like I could get kicked off of Twitter for saying things.
Was it just
like,
because of the show, or was it just your personal?
No. I would make my Pete Corvus Twitter like all character,
right?
And it would never be like personal things. So
I fucked up Doo-Hop today. Like all his fans could kiss my ass.
I definitely like told someone to like kill themselves at one point, and I went,
okay,
oh,
Pete.
Yeah. So Twitter was kind of just like, all right, Pete, we're just gonna kick you
away for a little bit.
I did delete the tweets.
Perfect.
Because
I will say a lot of the guys that you worked with did not have that ability to press the delete button.
I didn't for a while either, and then someone
I'm saying, Pete, like, you're not the only.
Yeah, one. Oh no, there was a lot of us that kind of just
learned.
I do it in the DMs now, so it's not so much. So now, like, there's no proof that it's out there.
Official
sort of.
group chat that you guys are a part of.
Yeah. So,
which is true, but all the guys that are on the show when the show started, it was all you guys in a group chat.
Yeah, which we're all still in, but like, it's nothing ever in there gets leaked, and if it does, it's
what's
probably it's a petty reason for like a leakage.
All respect to Grimm in the show, but what is there really to leak?
There's nothing to leak. It's just like, all right, here's what day we're going down.
I'll see on the thumbnail what you leak.
Yeah, exactly. It's nothing.
So when you guys got kicked out of the backyard, that was because of the state. What was the whole deal with that? Because I think Grimm said there was a lot of violations.
We definitely
for noise complaints, wasn't it?
Noise complaints from the neighbors. From like
it was because all you guys are banging on the ring.
They were at one point. There were like 60 people in the backyard filming.
It was like the Grimmomania shows.
The Grimmomania shows, like the Regal Rumbles. They were like at one point he was doing like.
I was about to ask you about. I wanted to bring that up. You guys did a Royal Rumble style match in the snow.
In 14 degrees.
It was like one of the biggest. It was like the one. It was when they did the Rumble in Philly. It was like the worst snowstorm that hit the East Coast.
Yeah. So like the week
and
before,
you're in basketball shorts, kick pads, and a Kevin Owens style T-shirt.
Yeah, and I don't think I had a cutoff on that day.
Probably gloves or something.
I did have gloves on. Yeah, so I had shorts, a T-shirt, elbow pads, wrist tape
up to
gloves.
Your forearm. By the
no,
way.
not at that point.
Not
yet. I hadn't moved to the forearm yet. Knee pads and kick pads.
Interesting look
in 14-degree weather. And I had a beanie on at one point, but I lost it in the middle of the fight.
Yeah.
So yeah, there were 40 of us.
Meanwhile, Grimm is like in a giant snowsuit.
Yeah. Well, we had Dunkin' Donuts coffee like that, like on the side. I don't know if you can see it in the video, but on one of the tables on the side,
there's like a big Dunkin'
there's like
thing.
3 or 4 like boxes of Joes because it was so cold.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how that worked. But
so you go from a backyard to a warehouse.
So we go from a backyard to a warehouse.
All still in Jersey?
Only like 5 miles down the road. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he found like a warehouse like 5 miles down from where we originally were. So we got kicked out of the.
Yeah.
We got kicked out of the yard for like noise complaints from the neighbors, and I think like the cops got called on us like 12 times.
So I was about to say, we're neighbors probably coming by, like going through the back. You'd be like, "Excuse me, like what are you doing?"
At first, they really enjoyed it because it was just something like different that was happening. But then like we were parking in their driveways, and we were taking over the block, and it was just like, all right.
Because I remember one thing you guys did. It was when Nabo was behind a truck, shooting off a fake gun.
The same gun that I killed Bull
and
James
Jimmy
with.
is running down the street shirtless, like, and just wearing shorts. Be like, "You motherfucker!"
Everyone in their house was probably just like looking like, "What the hell is the matter with you people?"
Like let's call the cops,
and it's just normal.
Just
No.
Let it go.
That was just a let it go because they realized it was just like that. The camera was rolling. They knew it wasn't real. But we had way too many people on a block for like 3 weeks straight. Police were called for a noise complaint at like 10 o'clock at night. They're like, all right, listen.
Because once they see you guys come by, they're like, oh, here we go. They're going to start doing bullshit.
The clowns are back again.
Yeah.
So.
And sometimes you guys did literal clowns.
I hated those things. I hate clowns to begin with, so to even put me in like in the ring with, and I knew he were under the mask, but like I still jumped.
I mean, the timing of everything too, where the clown sightings and
that's what it was.
And then you guys did clowns.
That's what it was. He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna hop on this," and we got so many views. And then he did it every fucking Halloween.
Not even every Halloween. Every location you guys did.
single location. You can't.
You were never a clown.
You
though.
only no. Well, depends on who you ask.
Okay.
But not in the sense that I put on a clown mask.
Right.
Am I a clown? Sure.
Oh.
Was I a clown? No.
Oh, I see what you did.
Yeah, see. Yeah, so we moved into a warehouse, a massive warehouse. We were able to
I can only imagine the negotiation. Be like, what are you guys doing in there? Oh, we're going to wrestle.
He told the lady, like the landlord.
I was thinking, like, he has to be straight up and tell them like what he's doing in there.
They set up because it was a complex of.
It was like a warehouse. It was a little warehouse.
It was yes and no. It was a complex of buildings all connected to each other. Mm-hmm. So like next to us was like a woodworking. I think it was like woodworking or something. Or maybe furniture, and
I think I remember. I know what you're talking about because I remember. I think it was used in one like the
and then the opposite side was a car detailing place. I'm not sure. And then like smack in the middle was like 2 wrestling rings and 60 fucking people.
Right.
So we got complaints from her because everyone around us was complaining that we were being too loud. Mm-hmm. But like she understood.
I can imagine in that place, like the echo of
the echo was massive.
Any bumps you guys are taking in the ring,
massive. There was like I think they thought about putting like noise canceling, like the pieces on the wall. I forget what they're called.
I know, like famous YouTubers use.
Yeah, exactly. Like when they don't want to scream and like wake up their kids, kind of thing. That's what that one. I think they wanted
just
to do
the
that.
fact that idea of it, you would have to put on like and that place was. I can imagine how big it was.
We would need at least probably 500 pieces of that foam. Yeah. There was so many. So we got,
and then around that time, I believe YouTube was fucking you guys. Well, I'm gonna use a thing called "fucking you guys" with monetization.
I think that's when like it first started.
Then you guys started doing like free previews or not free.
It was literally
$1.99.
It was like $1.99 YouTube pay-per-views events. Yeah, and they would make a lot of money.
I can imagine.
I don't know. He made a lot of money on those pay-per-views.
I can imagine because it would be kids basically asking parents, "Hey,
it was,
give me a credit card, let me buy this."
Yeah, and then it was
be like, "What is it?" Be like, "Oh, it's like
it's a wrestling show,
like food in the fridge." Or
yeah, and like we'd have like professionally done posters done for these shows, and like they looked really good, like better than most independent show cards.
I will say, when you guys went up to that, the style, the look of it, you guys were really trying to look more professional. You guys had like a fence with like a curtain for like entrances.
Yeah, that's what we thought. We were like,
the only thing that was missing was really like the music, but I understand with the whole noise complaint thing, it would be like, if you're blasting your song loud as fuck, people are like, Jesus Christ, or like anything else, or like when you guys are doing like Halloween stuff and there's like scary music playing around, people would be like, what the hell are you guys doing?
it was much easier to just pipe it in. Like we would film that.
And did you guys buy a second ring with, like, because you had 2 rings, like you said. You had 2 rings for a War Games style match. Where did the second ring come from?
I don't even remember where he bought the second ring. Mm-hmm. I don't even remember where he bought the first ring. It might have been High Spots, to be honest. I don't even know. And then all of a sudden, the second ring was just like, oh, I have a second ring. We're just like, what?
Yeah.
And then we fit the second ring in the warehouse
for a little bit.
We did like the War Games match, and then we took down the ring, and then like it was behind the curtain, and we would just use it to like, we would use it as a locker room, pretty much, like to like sit on it and all that. But we've never. I don't think we've had to use it again. Where are we now? I actually don't know where the second ring is now. But yeah, so we got kicked out of that one.
Was it the noise complaints?
Oh, it was absolutely the noise complaints. She was just like, all right, that's it, you're done. I'm canceling.
You guys were there for almost a year.
Either almost a year or a little
close to,
yeah, we were close to
the new year.
Yeah, pretty much. And then we found another warehouse.
You had a rivaling brand, RWA.
Where they stole the first ring. They stole the ring. Is
this all shoot? You're telling me right now?
No.
Okay.
Come on.
I know.
It's wrestling. Absolutely not. Do you want? I mean, I'm shooting enough.
That's the way always Grimm phrases things, because it's like, I'll show you what's real, and I don't want to show you what's not real.
Sometimes we're sitting in the group chat. Go, dude, is this real? He goes, oh, I don't know. Do you think it is? I'm like, dude, we're on the show with you, like, but whatever.
It's not fucking right.
Yeah,
we're a backyard wrestling show.
Listen,
we can't go that far.
It doesn't matter to us. Yeah. Just tell us. It's really not that hard. So he found another warehouse. I'll give you guys credit because it was always kayfabe with you guys. Sometimes we tried so hard for a while, and then someone's like, "Did you?" And I mean,
Jimmy and Dalton are the way they are now, and I have not met them two in person ever. And I know they are for real.
Or probably for the best if you don't. But so we found this,
especially the shit stories I hear about Dalton nowadays in Jersey.
Dalton is Dalton, and my opinions on Dalton are just... It's Dalton.
Listen, the fact that he got on the GCW show and you're not...
Well, Dalton was there.
Bitter pill to swallow?
Sometimes, but that's his sixth time on GCW. So I can't really... It's not bitter at this point. It's just like, he's there.
I'm saying for me.
Well, sometimes.
Like, I see you, Jay, Kurt... Again, like those types of guys you guys bust your ass. I could tell.
Yeah,
you guys want to do this for real, and then you get like shitheads like him. But it's whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing with Dalton is like everyone loves to see Dalton get beat up. Yeah, so it's just like,
it's easy.
So it's like, oh, Joey Janela wants to beat up Dalton. Sure, let's throw it on the backyard show and just watch him beat the shit out of him.
To that extent, I'm like, that's not the attention he should be getting. If you guys want to beat him up on GTS, but
Grimm doesn't want him on GTS though. That's the thing.
I get that. But guys like Joe Janela, who is coming off AEW, who's making his own money, it's whatever he wants to do.
Yeah,
he's giving certain people spotlights that shouldn't have spotlights on them.
Well, I don't know if you did you watch Backyard?
Yeah, I saw it.
Did you see him try to shoot on Joey? And Joey just tossed him to the side. Yeah, he was just like, all right, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like we're laughing. I'm like, you're such an idiot. But I mean, listen, Dalton shows up to like these big shows and he helps out, and that's how he gets on them. I don't show up because
Teddy Hart fan.
He is fucking weirdo. He does. I will admit he does a great Teddy Hart impression, which is pretty coincidental of how shitty Teddy Hart is and how shitty Dalton is. So that's how that works.
So yeah, let's not talk about that shit. Yeah. But, so second warehouse.
So second warehouse is significantly smaller than the first.
Is it farther away from last location?
Also still in Tom's River, probably 5 miles the opposite.
Because this is when you started to go away from the show.
Yeah, so this is when I was just...
This is when you were working, being an adult.
What was my first reasoning for not being around? This was my issues hadn't started yet with people. I really have to think because I had gone away for a bit. Let's
just say personal reasons.
Yeah, I honestly think it was because of work. Right. So I couldn't get the days off, so I stopped going, and then it'd
be rare when you'd be like, oh, by the way,
it's like, oh, Pete's back, and then like people were like, oh my god, this is so exciting.
In 5 in a row, and then
I'd be back for like 5 or 6 episodes that we had filmed in like 2 days, and then I'd be gone for like 3 or 4 months at a time.
But you would tell them in advance, being, I'm certain time.
I would
have to go.
I'd be like, listen, I don't have this day off anymore. I got to disappear for a bit. So he was like, all right, that's fine. Mm-hmm. So like you'll see that like I'm not at the second warehouse a lot in the beginning, and then I kind of come back for probably 3 or 4 months. I'm like on there constantly, or consistently rather, and then I disappear again, and then in that time, like that's when he gets like Shook Crew comes around more often, and well, I mean they had been there already, but like Shook Crew was there.
That's when Creative Pro starts. Like,
yeah, that's when like that's yeah. So that's like when he gets back in touch with Brian again, and everyone's like, all right, so like now. Shook Crew's there in full. Chris Statlander, Beach Bums, Penelope Ford, Nunzio. At that point, like Nunzio was huge to be there. Like that was like
for you personally,
like just for like a couple people there. But like Nunzio was like, we got a legend. Like this is so cool. Like that's like that kind of huge. Rhett Titus was there because
then
that's
somehow you guys top it with James Ellsworth, who's just straight off WWE TV.
Which straight off,
he's coming on your.
I have
your guys' shows.
I have no idea how he got in touch with them about it. And now that like James Ellsworth runs his,
he's a consistent person on the show.
Yeah, and then like he almost got canceled. Then like all of a sudden he was back, and like that was a whole ordeal when he came back.
It was interesting when you guys got James because you got him once he got released, and then when he went back to SmackDown for that like 3-month period, and then he came back.
And then he was back again as if like nothing happened.
Right.
We were just like,
at the time it was perfect,
which was weird, and that's about the time that like he got canceled or didn't get canceled or whatever it was, because then he came back.
He had the intergender thing, wasn't he?
He made an intergender title so that he can wrestle women.
That's on the show. That's the one he made.
I don't think that he could, so that he can like make himself wrestle women. Let me backtrack.
He was doing a gimmick.
He was doing a gimmick, almost like thank you. That's the one, like Andy Kaufman. But I think he kind of, I don't know, like how it happened, and then like it became like a whole thing, like, oh, he's only doing it to wrestle women, like hot women, and we're like, dude, who gives a shit? Like, it's not.
But then once that whole story came out, it was like, ooh.
And then it was like, oh, this is a little awkward that like maybe he actually was doing it to just wrestle hot women.
And you were there,
and I was there, like watching, like, oh my god, this is crazy. And now I'm like, oh, I don't want to do anything about it. And then like there's something like has to do with like kids or something. And then like there were like parents there.
There was one
that
video
were
where he was,
kids.
it's the thumbnail was him and a kid, and it was like, ooh,
yeah,
that's not
I don't know
good.
anything about that one.
It was like, oh, like come home, dad, like the tagline. Of
yeah,
the video.
I honestly, I was so out of the loop with like certain things with him. So
because I was watching mostly week to week, so that shows how a fan I was. You were gone by that point, because then you guys get kicked out again.
No, we didn't get kicked out this time. No, we didn't. We
he left voluntarily.
He left voluntarily because the rent was spiking. Like not that we were like bad. Like
the channel was doing good.
We weren't bad tenants at that point.
Right.
The YouTube demonetization thing was becoming like a massive issue at this point again, and it was worse. And then the rent spiked in the building. He was just not getting ads on his video? He wasn't getting ads, or he wasn't getting the correct ads, and it was just like we were cursing way too much for YouTube's liking. Shit, fuck, bitch, suck these nuts. Like I was telling people to suck my dick 7 different ways, and it was like, all right, well, we should probably not say that anymore. So we did like a whole
the first thing that comes to mind is you guys doing
we did the
PSA
video. The DX PSA skit where it's just, we bleeped out everything, and I'm just laughing the whole time because it's like broke. It was things that like you wouldn't normally hear us say.
Right.
He's like, oh, we'll just try to get him to laugh, kind of thing. So that happened, and he's like,
was that always a thing with the guys on like basically
to try to break everyone?
Like get pink face, be like, fuck. Let's break
sometimes.
Pete. Let's get the real Pete.
It's so easy with me because sometimes like people would just say dumb things and I would just laugh because it's funny, and it would be on
something's out of pocket and you're like, wait a minute, why are you saying that? Right
time out. You just said what on camera? We can say that? All right, sure. So
I could say too, like if you guys said anything wrong, you'd be like I hope that's not in the video, or I do. Hope
he would sometimes he would cut it. And then other times he would just bleep it out. It's like, oh, what did he say? Oh, don't worry about it. Like you'll
never know.
If you can read lips, you can read lips. But sometimes it was like, no. So we left there, hauled the ring back to another yard, which is in the current yard it's in now, but it was in like a different spot. And then they moved the ring.
It was to the left, and now it's to the right.
Actually, yes, that's exactly what happened. Yeah, it was literally in the left, and then they moved to the right, and then they pretty much built like a little arena.
Basically, what the setup looks like now is what's going to be in the video game.
Yes, that's exactly. Yeah, in that whatever the virtual
is that the
basement.
Game Tony Chini's been working on.
Yeah, the virtual basement one.
Right.
Yeah. So that's they came to GTS, the Wrestling Code. Yeah, the one by Virtual Basement. Or I
assume Grimm worked a deal with them.
So
arena and him. In the game.
think he's an
in-game character.
He's either an in-game character or he's a DLC. I know that the yard. He's in-game first.
Right.
Because
Grimm was involved with the Scott Steiner trailer.
Yes. So it was.
Which was two worlds meeting. Like, holy shit.
Crazy. Because I know Grimm's in it first, and then he was supposed to get a couple of GTS guys in as DLC characters, but I wasn't around enough to be I just wasn't around at that point.
Him and his brother.
His brother, and then like we were trying for like Jay, Vlad, me, Tommy, and like Jake, because like we were like the most what we thought were the most popular of like the group.
I mean, you pretty much just named the OGs of the show.
Well, that's pretty much what it was. We wanted to be like the OGs in first, and like new guys in second. Like Cheeny's in because Cheeny was doing like Cheeny.
From what I've seen, he's been helping with the motion capture.
Yeah, so he's in with the motion capture, and he's like really good friends with the guy who did the game. So he's traveling all over the country doing motion capture, which like Kurt Angle and like Sandman and Scott Steiner. He did Rob Van Dam.
I mean, I believe some of the guys have come actually to the backyard to do some mocap. I think there was one where Rich Swan popped up.
I think so. I'm not sure.
Again, you're not around, but
yeah, I don't. That's just something I don't keep up with because I'm not. I tried to get into the game, and they were like, "Oh, we'll see what happens." I was like, "All right," and I just never like followed up with it.
Well, let me ask you this quickly. So, when you guys are doing like the tapings, there's no payment or anything for you guys. I would assume the indie guys that come by, get paid something.
Yeah, most of the time, like guys that like bigger name indie guys, not
James.
like so like Ellsworth would get paid, Rhett got paid. We got paid a couple times, but it's really not expected at this point. That's kind of one of the reasons why I just don't go down anymore, because I get paid to wrestle now. It's not like I'm not going down to just like. Because when you guys
did the first warehouse, that was when you guys started getting indie bookings, and that was when a lot of the stuff on Twitter was like, "Oh, these guys that wrestle in the backyard are on my fucking show now."
Yeah,
and that was around the time when Grimm got attacked at that charity show. Ben was at that show.
Yeah,
he's texting me that night. He goes, "Bro, they just shot on Grimm. He just cursed in front of a bunch of kids."
It was like it was
a
family friendly. It was like a kids PG show,
right?
And
Jay, Grimm, and Duhab did a three-way deal.
They did a triple threat, and they got
Kirk
attacked.
And Alex, I know the two guys. Brandon Kirk, I don't know, but I know the other guy, Alex.
Alex Ryman. Was it Aaron Bradley at one point?
Aaron
Bradley, and then became Alex Ryman.
Right, and Brandon Kirk.
And Kirk, yeah. Turns out Kirk, great guy. Love him.
Right.
He just we just laugh about it at this point because it had nothing to do with me.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure Alex Raymond's a good.
Raymond? Yeah, he's a good dude.
Raymond.
When I was doing GWP GOP, we talked about it. Basically said like, oh, the whole thing's it's squashed now.
Yo, it absolutely is.
Because it was a one-day thing. Because it was like, oh, they felt disrespected when they showed up.
Oh yeah.
They weren't. Because let me ask you, when you guys do these indie shows, like, is there a vibe of everybody like looking at you guys like, who in the hell are these people?
Nowadays, no. When we first did, they were like, why are we letting...
It would be double takes. Like, who the fuck is Pete Corvus?
Why the fuck are we letting Yarders on a professional wrestling show? That was like the first thing. And then
the thing that would piss people off too is that when you guys would walk out, the kids would instantly recognize you guys, and you guys would get the reactions for your matches.
Yep. They hated it. I mean, they might probably still hate it, but now it's just like we're independent wrestlers now. We're not just like GTS guys.
You started in 2014, and it's 2023. You guys have basically made a stay. I think Jay Evans did the most out of you guys.
Yeah.
Being respectful.
No, it's true.
A guy that he kept going.
Yeah,
during that when they were attacking Grimm and Duhab, he went up for a fucking power bomb.
Because he had no idea there was a shoot. He was just like, oh, they're part of the match. Okay, I'm just going to take this. And he didn't know if there was like a safe bump or not. Thankfully, it was.
Right.
But they didn't know that. Or he didn't know.
I think in their minds, I'm not speaking for them, they're probably looking at Jay like, this guy could do something. Fuck the other two. Because when you look at Grimm and Duhab, they're not they don't look like professional wrestlers.
But they were that's the thing.
They were, but they look
and then
old men just doing
just like
the stuff
doing,
that we see on TV.
Over exaggerating.
Grimm's gimmick is basically he's doing a whole DX thing.
It's literally DX mixed with like Hulk Hogan and John Cena, like super Grimm.
The whole super Cena thing.
Yeah, we call him Super Grimm. Like he gets like the golden shovel. I'm gonna bury you shovel style. That's his thing. Which is, for a while, I mean, it was like...
50-time YouTube champion.
Too many to count. He's held every belt at least 5 times, minimum.
Come on, it's Well, it's been one. But that's another day.
Yeah. Well, that's only because like a lot of us like couldn't commit. He was like, "Well, I can only count on myself," which we're like, "All right, whatever." That's a fairly but like we were there.
That statement's like half true.
It was 75%.
Because if you guys do show up, you guys have some commitment.
Yeah, but then there were some of us that just like were so bad that he could not put a belt on us, and he refused to for a while. Like
you had a few times, so I assume I'm not saying you were bad.
I had it.
He did trust you.
The first time I won a GTS championship, I won it at a Burger King parking lot. Yeah. It was Burger King or McDonald's on the side of like the road.
Yeah, you guys would film like on you guys on the boardwalk.
We would film in like legitimate locations, and people would be like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Right.
Like they would just like, "All right, let's just do it. Let's just get a genuine reaction on people."
And you guys did commit. You guys would go to the ground and sell a move, whatever the fuck it was, a stunner,
like
whatever the hell it was going to be.
Doo-Hop went to go throw like a Coke in my face. I ducked. It hit.
Oh.
It hit Grimm. I rolled up Doo-Hop. I won the belt.
I think about to say he hit somebody in the face.
No, just only Grimm.
Okay.
We drove back to the yard, and I lost the belt. 25 minutes.
Same video.
25 minutes later, but on the video, I held it for 2 days. Like in like GTS world, I held it for 2 days.
Right.
In real time, I held it for like 45
minutes. Which I give credit
minutes.
to the fans who keep record of all your. Like all you guys' respective title reigns.
There's a whole YouTube. There's a whole YouTube. I think it's like, I think his name is like Steven or something. Mm-hmm. I honestly, if I forget your name, I'm really sorry. I think his name is Steven, and he has a whole YouTube dedicated to like how long we've been champion.
To the minute,
to the minute. Like he would. Well, in terms of like what's on
YouTube, yeah.
On YouTube itself. Yeah. So like one of the, I don't know if you know the Stepdads.
Yes.
Okay. Very good tag team. Rad Dad.
I think one of them one of them was trying to follow me forever on Instagram for like a month. I had no fucking clue who he was until I saw him on YouTube. Like, okay.
Yeah, no, they're
trying to follow me.
They're very good and very funny. Right. One of them is Rad Dad is the Intercontinental Champion, and he's held it for
a year, pretty much. Or not even a year,
a couple months. I actually just, you know what, I'm going to pull it up because I know where he is.
We're not going to misrepresent the facts here.
No, I don't want to because he's very specific about this, and I don't want to like.
You don't want to get a DM.
No, not at all. Oh man, where did he put it? Oh, he is 154 days as the GTS Intercontinental Champion. That's the longest IC title reign in GTS history and the second longest singles reign since 2015.
Twitter.
Which I think is only behind Grimm, I would assume, is like the longest.
Of course.
He's had the most reign.
When you said it out loud, it's compared to what we see on TV today. It's not much, but I'll give him credit.
154 days on an independent. On a consistent YouTube wrestling show, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
217 days unpinned, and the 12 title defenses in one reign, which is the most for any GTS champion, which is crazy because normally we get like 3 defenses, and it's like, all right, this guy's pretty over right now. We're going to put it on him. But like, hey, whatever. That's not my decision.
So back to when you guys started doing indie shows, like I said, I can imagine the faces. The double looks you guys were getting, and then with the certain amount of you guys, it'd be interesting to see on the poster for SWF. Not to single them out, but that was the company you guys really worked with the most. Was that because Grimm was booking it?
Grimm would get 2.
Like how much booking was Grimm really?
Grimm got 2 GTS wrestling spots on.
Only 2
on the SWF. Shows like he would get 2 matches. He would book 2 specific matches.
So this is when you guys were starting off GTS.
This is when it became
a whole
So when it became like a whole thing, and then Rob Fury was like, "Whoa, I kind of really see like what's going on here. Like I want to kind of take advantage of Grimm and his fans and everyone in New Jersey."
First mention of Rob Fury,
and there'd probably be a couple more, to be honest.
We'll talk about the log.
We'll talk about the log. It's really not that bad.
Maybe depends how long we go.
So Rob was like, "Oh, I'm gonna take full advantage of this. And Grimm was like, oh, I have two open. I think he would do a singles and a tag for the most part. And he's like,
it was pretty much either him, a legend, that they would book on that show, and then against two of you guys.
So a lot of the times it would be.
Meanwhile, I think at first it wasn't you. It was always Jay, Mad Joe, like that crowd.
It was Jay was the first one on the shows.
And he was in a costume,
and
right?
he was the Ice Demon.
Right. Yes.
Snowcock. That was his thing for a while.
Yeah.
So it was Grimm, Doo-Hop, Jay were the first ones on.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cheney. But Cheney was doing stuff already with like 911 and like Big Vin. Like he was training with them kind of thing. And then like
so he was pretty much in the FBI mix in some sort of way.
Yes and no.
Was he a guy doing indies before GTS?
He had like one or two SWF matches prior to coming over to GTS. Came to GTS, got significantly better while on GTS, and started taking more bookings.
The pizza delivery board.
Yeah. And then
I will say,
like,
all you guys, he was the only one that didn't look like or have a WWE gimmick. All due respect, you were basically Kevin Owens.
Pretty much.
Vlad was Brock Lesnar.
You can tell like certain.
You can tell who's who.
Yeah. Like I was blatantly obvious. Kevin Owens.
You were a Kevin Owens, Jimmy Havoc mark.
Yeah, massive. And like that was just like I was too blatantly obvious about it, and then I had to like peel back on certain things.
What you were wearing when it was snowing, the basketball shorts,
and
kick pads,
and the bloody mask.
Yeah,
and the
bloody mask, and then you go to Tournament of Death and you meet Jimmy Havoc. And
Jimmy hated me,
and he recognized you. He goes, "Oh, you're the one."
You're the Jimmy Havoc cosplayer, and I went, "Oh
shit, he knows me."
I was like, "Fuck." Oh, Jimmy Havoc and all that. Woo. Piece of shit. And hey, whatevs. Wrestling,
you're
baby.
Making a mark over him.
Well, yeah.
Currently.
Whatever. That's on him though.
So you guys were doing SWF.
So we're doing SWF.
And then smaller indie shows I can't remember the names of.
I think a couple of them were doing like.
It was in basketball. It was like gyms.
I think it was called BBWF. Mm-hmm. I don't remember who ran it. But they did like it was like a 10-man tag. It was like Team GTS versus like Team BBWF. It was Tommy, Matt Castle, I think Jay. I want to say Jimmy Controversy and somebody else. And I think like Rhett Titus was involved somehow. Matthias Glass. Bunch of random people like all put together. It just didn't make it. It made sense for the time, but like it didn't draw anything because it was like the Grimm wasn't there, so it was like whatever.
What was your personal experience going from filming in warehouses in the backyard to now you're in front of a crowd? So what was your experience going from that change?
I fought it so bad. I didn't want to do it.
Really?
I wanted to because I was like,
you just wanted to be you.
I really just wanted to stick to GTS for a while, and if I did do it, I wanted to like get proper training before I started doing the live shows. But then like people were like, oh come on man, like we're all doing it, like peer pressure, but like it was like whatever, like I trust all of you. It's not that I don't trust you, it's just that I don't trust myself to not.
And when it came into the hierarchy of like your GTS guys, you're at the top, and if people go into a SWO show and it's like GTS is promoted, they're thinking, oh, Pete Corvus is going to be here.
Yeah, they would always ask me, people were like, oh, are you ever going to be there? I was like, no, probably not. Like, and it wasn't like a shot at SWF at the time. It was just like I wasn't confident in my wrestling abilities in front of a crowd. I was so used to Grimm being like, okay, we're going to do this right now and duck and swing and kick me here. And now it's like.
And when it came to these shows, it was always you guys working together, right?
It was always
it was never you against somebody else that you don't know.
Yeah, it was always guys that we had wrestled already prior to. So my first independent show wasn't even SWF. It was like a Tony Emerald run show, and it was me versus Kurt Bell versus Hollywood Hooligan. And they were like, oh, will you work these two? I was like, yeah, sure. Like I trust them. Like I've wrestled them like significantly. I can do it. And like
And Tony Emerald's like a vet, right? He's been around a while, Tom?
Depending on your terminology of the word veteran, yes, he is in fact a vet. But yeah, so So he ran that show, he did that, and I was like, all right, great, that's it. I don't need to do any more wrestling shows for a while. And then summertime came around, and they were like, oh, we have an SWF booking. Do you want to take it? And I was like, I don't know. Not sure.
I think I know where you're going with this, because this is when they asked you to flyer.
No, not yet.
Oh,
not
okay.
yet. We hadn't got there yet.
But was that always? But was that a problem with you for certain bookings? Like, because if work or anything had came up, it was like, oh, I can't fucking do this.
In terms of like doing,
there was something always in the way. Of you
yeah,
wrestling.
there was not in terms of wrestling. Not always. I was always able to get off to do shows, and if I couldn't get off, I just took off. Like that's pretty much like. But my job is pretty lenient about it. But they were
nowadays.
Well, I've had the same job pretty much since I've been on GTS. They kind of know that I like they know
what you
wrestle.
do. They know where you go.
They know that I'm like, hey, listen, I need to take this day off. Just I need the morning shift. Like I have to be here. But the first SWF show, I wrestled Ron Voyage, and Sandman hated the match. He's like, well, why would you do apologize?
Sandman.
Yeah, I don't know. He was on the show for something. Couldn't tell you why.
Well, not even that, but it's also like he's critiquing a wrestling match.
Hey, man. Turns,
you just like, really?
Yeah.
No. I can understand why he would.
Yeah. Right. Listen, I took his advice because like it was my second match ever, and he's a veteran to me. Like he's been on TV, he's done all this shit. And, like I'll listen to what you have to say. But the guy that I wrestled was like, what the fuck does Sandman know about wrestling? Like I took a pile driver on the apron. Who cares? It's not his match.
The only criticism I think I ever heard from that show is that you cursed in front of kids.
Oh, I told the referee to shut the fuck up on a PG show
in front of a kid.
In front of kids. So many kids, and everyone's like, oh. And I was like literally like middle finger flip. I was like, I'm so. Oh no, I could flip the middle finger to these kids, but I couldn't curse. But I was so used to GTS,
right,
where I can do whatever I wanted, or to an extent, do whatever I wanted. I went out there
and then be like, oh, yeah, they're not going to hear it, or
yeah,
like, or think of, I don't know,
yeah, whatever it was. I knew that literally the word "fuck" came out of my mouth, and I just went up, and I was like, huh, shit. This is a problem.
Fuck.
And I literally finished the match 1, 2, 3, ran to the back, and I found everyone in charge. And I went, listen, I'm really, really sorry. That was. I know that we had like.
Well, smart for you to apologize right away.
The only person I didn't apologize to.
It'd be funny if you went to apologize and go, "What are you apologizing for?"
Yeah, no.
Like if they didn't hear it until they went back.
3 people came up to me as I was coming back through the curtain, and they literally met me at the back door, and they were like, "Really good match," and I went, "I'm so sorry. I know exactly what total accident, force of habit when I'm on GTS." Will never happen again. They were like, all right, as long as you know, I'm like, this is great. And I found like everybody in charge. The only person I didn't find was Rob, because he was like running around doing Rob Fury things.
Whatever the hell that means.
Yeah, at that point, at that time, it was Rob being Rob. Then the second show I did was like,
I can imagine it was better.
So much easier because I teamed with Tommy.
Right.
I think I teamed with Tommy.
That was when you and Tommy started doing your own thing.
Yeah, we started just like teaming together on shows, and like that was easy.
And now fast forward, you guys are still doing somewhat together things, but you're now in a trio, Bad Company.
I don't even know if it's a trio anymore.
Well, you were by the time you were doing this, when I got you, it's you, Scaper, and Bale.
So Tommy and I aren't tagging anymore.
Right.
As of current time, we're no longer tagging because he's got big boy job, and I'm taking other bookings.
Very big boy job.
Very big boy job. He's a sanitation worker. For those of you who want to know, he makes great money.
Right.
I'm in Bad Company, which is me,
Scaper,
Landscaper, Kurt Bale, and Jay.
Jay was in there, but he's retiring again.
No, see, that's the thing. Jay's not retiring. Kurt Bale's retiring.
Oh no, I know. Yeah,
So
listen, like I said, follow on Twitter.
Yeah,
I know what him and Grimm's going on. Where the hell that is.
Kurt's retiring. There's an issue there. I'm staying out of it. I have nothing to do with it. I don't care about what's going on with them. It's not my problem. I've already messaged both of them saying, listen,
don't want to be involved.
I'm in the faction with you, but your opinions are whatever. And I messaged Grimm. I said, listen, I'm your dude, but your opinions are whatever. I don't care. And they both understood.
That's good.
Bale's retiring, so now it's Bad Company is kind of just like me and Lance. And I guess I've taken over as like the SWF Tag Team Champions.
So you're like the de facto leader of the team?
No, certainly not the leader. I don't want to be a leader.
Okay.
I don't want to be a leader of anything. do not follow me. People
Don't follow my lead.
No, I don't. People are like, oh, what's something I should do in wrestling? I said, whatever I've done, do not do. I do things like so backwards sometimes. Just like don't listen to me. Don't anything I do. Just do the complete opposite. So I don't want to be a leader. So we'll just say Lance is the leader of Bad Company right now.
With two people.
A team of two. He's the leader of the group. But that can all change in like 3 months when like everyone's out of retirement. And it's like, oh, hey, we're gonna do this now. No, but Jay's just taking like he's taking some time off. He's taking specific bookings.
Okay.
So he's working like sporadically when he wants to for who he wants to. We're just like, whatever, dude. Who cares? Like, it's better on your body than what my dumbass is doing. So I'm taking more singles bookings anyway. Like I'm like, listen, do you guys want to do this? I'm like, nah. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna just go that way. Yeah. So, but
I mean, it's interesting to see how far you came. I mean, we DM each other pretty much every day with memes and stupid clips of stupid shit,
dumb shit,
and then I get to see you wrestle. I still need to see you wrestle live, though.
Bro. I would love
just that you fucking wrestle in whatever the hell in Jersey,
everywhere in Jersey. I would love to wrestle in New York, but there's no.
Don't say there's nobody out here for
No. There is. No. Let's backtrack. There's like 3 really good companies in New York. New York City.
Yeah.
New York City. In the state of New York, there's 6. No one's going to book me because unfortunately...
Is it because of your background or is it...
yeah, unfortunately, everyone that either runs the company in New York or wrestles on the company in New York knows me.
They know of GTS.
No. They know me as like Pete, like the kid that would sit in the front row at like FWE and like the recombination and all that. And like they know that I'm not properly trained. They know that I'm like not. I wouldn't say I'm not professional because I am better.
Right.
But like they don't. There's, in my opinion, there's other people and better people to book than me. Mm-hmm. So I spent my time going to New Jersey
doing a random booking
and doing random bookings in New Jersey, and it's just like it's not random because I wrestle for like the same 3 people in New Jersey, but they just run different. They run like consistently, and then like there's
I'm saying random because they're not GTS affiliated. They're just
SWF is kind of sort of GTS affiliated again, which is because I don't know. I guess Grimm just wanted to do more independent bookings, and he was like, "Oh, I'm just going to run."
Yeah, he's more open now.
Yeah, so which is crazy. He got that divorce, and he's like, "I'm going to do whatever the hell I want now," and he's so much better for it.
What about you? What would you say you've learned since? What would you say to old Pete? Yeah, like like what the fuck? What are you doing now?
In the biggest thing in wrestling is like keep your ears open and your mouth shut. Like that
was never you.
That was like the first thing they tell you everywhere you go. Just ears open, mouth shut. Just don't say anything. I was the complete opposite. I would never listen to anyone, and I would just shit talk like my whole way. But I would shit talk to the wrong people, and then it would get back to other people, and it was like a game of telephone, and I would lose the game of telephone because it was like, oh, Pete's a real piece of shit. I stopped doing GTS for a while because it got me in trouble for something. I said or did. Oh, it was the flyering thing for SWF. That's what it was. They were like, oh, well, why don't you come down and flyer? And I was like, I'm going on vacation with my family. Like, I'm not.
I don't have the time to go around.
No, I'm not. Mall. I'm not going to South Jersey to flyer. Like, I lost an opportunity to wrestle Brandon Kirk because I didn't flyer. So I was supposed to wrestle Vincenzo, and then that was going to lead into me versus Brandon Kirk at Mega Slam that year. But I didn't flyer, and they were like, all right, that's it. Pete's talking back to us. And I had screenshotted what was said, and I meant to go put it in another group chat, but I sent it to them. And at that time, there was no unsend button on Facebook Messenger. So they're like, oh, well, Pete's talking shit. That's it. He's off the show. And I just went, fuck. Massive blow.
So you would take that back?
I would be better at responding to that thread. Now,
instead of quick reactions, be like
that was
let me stop and think about let me say.
Yeah, I was more let me speak before my brain can get to my mouth kind of thing. That's how that was. Now it's kind of just like, oh, there's a message from so and so, and I'll sit there and I'll look at my phone and I'll just go okay, and I'll kind of sort of read it, and then I'll put my phone down and I go, all right, I'll get back to that later because I just don't want to answer it and be like a smartass about it. Some people like. I get back to him just like, dude, I just not right now. Like I'll do it later. Like they're like, oh, do you have promos ready? I'm like, yeah. Do you have my match card ready? Like there's certain people I can get away with that kind of thing, but like, they also know how I am now. Like some people just like didn't know how to react to me like being a sarcastic jerk off. Now it's just like that's who I am. If you don't like me, whatever. You don't like me.
I learned that about you quickly.
Yeah, but I like you, so you're not. Yeah, it's a different story. Like if I hated you, I'd be like, I'm not doing your shitty podcast.
This is not even my podcast.
No offense, bro.
Well, it's not that way. He's had homicide. He's had a lot of people.
Yeah, so he's got a pretty cool podcast.
Now he's got you.
Yeah, he's
massive downgrade.
It's mine. Massive downgrade.
But I do appreciate you coming all the way down here into the studio for this. For hopefully many more. Still a lot to talk to you about, but this is a good start.
Yeah, man. What is it, like over an hour? I'm looking at the screen and cheating, so it's like an hour and 8 minutes or something like that. Yeah.
Just give your socials. Where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Instagram. I think I got my phone because I don't remember. I really don't remember. I have like 7 different names on 4 different accounts. Instagram is Pete_Corvus, Corvus, not to get mixed with Eric Corvus, who I just wrestled. 927.
I think I DM'd you about that too. I'm like, you have a brother?
Oh, it's your brother? Is that your brother?
Yeah.
No, not really. Zero relation at all. I used to watch him when I was a kid, though.
Second uncle twice removed.
Yeah, second uncle twice removed via name.
Bullshit.
So that's Instagram. Twitter is just at Pete Corvus. It's just me sitting on a top rope. That's my profile photo. You'll see. I guess Threads is the new thing.
Yeah.
Right? So I'll throw the Threads out there if people want to use that.
For anybody that's listening, if you want to follow this man, just look up Pete Corvus, Corvus.
Yes. And Threads is the same as my Instagram, so it's all connected. I think the thing is on there. Instagram, Twitter. No, we're not doing Snapchat. That's personal.
Yeah, Twitter, Threads, Instagram, basically no Facebook. That's personal.
Yeah, that's personal. And people still find me anyway, and I'm just like, they sit in my purgatory of friends.
They find that, bro. Every WWE profile just keeps popping up.
I found one by accident. I was like, oh, you look real, and I was like, no, never mind. You're from India. You're not.
On that note, Pete, thank you for stopping by.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate you coming down.
Thanks for having me. I'll be back. Maybe. We'll see. This one took forever.
We'll talk more off air, but this is Whole Milk Mike, and continuing to listen on Turnbuckle Tabloid. Whoever comes up next, Jay Santee is here for you.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff.
Turnbuckle Tabloid.